Yo, what's going on, my friends? Welcome back to another episode of the Team Bull Podcast. It's your boy Jdun Trades with Team Bull Trading, and I hope you're all having an amazing day. In today's episode, we have a very special guest. If you've watched my channel before, you've probably seen glimpses of him, but the man we're about to talk to has overcame a lot in his life. We're going to go over all of that. In addition to that, we're going to go over how he went from a full-time construction worker to not only a full-time trader making thousands of dollars a day, but a full-time educator and teacher inside our Team Bull Trading community. And even beyond trading, he has such a special story and such special life circumstances that I think you will be able to relate to and be able to get a feeling for. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest here, Grizzly. Thank you for coming on the show.
Appreciate you for having me, man. Well, my real name's Jared. The trading world knows me as Grizzly, and it's just an honor to be here.
Appreciate having you, man. So we have a lot of really amazing stuff to talk about today. But first and foremost, I want to dive into your past. How did Grizzly become Grizzly? Of course, throughout the show, and at the end, we have some very special stuff about you and some other stuff with Team Bull that we're going to go over. But to start, I want to hear about you, how you became who you are today, and so some obstacles you had to overcome to get to this point of being a full-time trader and living a life of financial freedom.
Well, I guess we should start from the beginning. I come from the country. I know that's probably a shock to you all. A very rural area. I think we had like one little country store you could go to. We went to town like every 2 weeks to get groceries. Just I guess about as country as you can get in my time. Honestly, there's still people living like that there now. Same way it was then. I'm like everyone else. I have a sad story. Everyone has their sad story. I got mine. A few things we can relate on, I feel like. My dad went to prison.
Me too.
Yeah, I think kindergarten, first grade in that time. That was a tough period. I mean, he's still in prison. So around fifth grade, my mom got sick, passed away. Then I moved in with my aunt and uncle, and that's where my work ethic began, They just lived a really old-fashioned life. We grew a garden. We worked it, canned our own food. That's what we lived off of through the winter. We just always was working, man, just always.
So you guys grew your own food, canned it all, and you basically lived off your own means and just what you had.
Yeah, basically. We bought groceries and stuff, but a lot of stuff that we grew, that's what we lived on through the winter. Honestly, the best food you could get, but I hated that work then, though.
But you see it now, and you kind of look back, and what you've really said is that work ethic. And by the way, might I add, I feel you on the dad things. My dad went to prison when I was young too. He was shot and killed a few months ago. I'd come to find out we were never close. So, obviously I was more sad for him. But nonetheless, when you have those bad things happen to you, and when it's really life or death for you to work, for you to eat, to have a roof over your head, it really ingrains that work ethic in you, and it sounds like it did just that for you, and it's translated really well in your life so far.
Yeah, it was tough then, looking back at it, when a lot of people was out having a good time and stuff, we was always working. We had a lot to keep up, land, garden. A lot is different now. You see a lot of kids staying inside. We wasn't allowed to stay inside. We had to go out and work. The only time I could really do anything was after dark. I guess that's what led to my wilder side when I was young. But, I come from a religious family, so we work in church, basically.
Work in church, and I wanted to add in, too, a little funny comment that, you said you came out in the dark a lot. That's where the Grizzly comes out. We're going to get to how you became the name Grizzly in just a second, but relates to, you're so consistent. Every single morning you're on Instagram Live with our Team Bull morning show, and I honestly haven't seen someone as consistent as you that gets up extremely early, 8 a.m. Eastern time, 5 a.m. Pacific time, every single day, and you are at it. You're full of energy, doing something that requires a lot of mental capacity trading. And do you think that having, those life experiences before really bled into, your work ethic now? And for example, the Instagram Lives in the morning and your solid routine?
Yeah, I've been getting up at 5 a.m. for probably the last 16 years. When I wasn't working night shift on, a construction job, which I hated night shift. Even when I was, in my wilder stage, it was like my uncle knew when I'd been out all night, drinking or whatever. He'd wake me up earlier that morning. We'd have to go work. It was an experience for sure. A lot of stories.
and experience. That's awesome. And you mentioned one other thing that I really wanted to talk about today was you went from being a full-time construction worker to a full-time trader. And when we actually met, you joined the Discord back in, I believe it was like early January of 2021 or like December of 2020, right?
It was around that time. I had two different accounts. The one I have now is I had one that I like switched emails or something and ended up getting another account. So I'm not for sure how long I've been there. I know it was towards the beginning because I found you on TikTok, I believe it was. You didn't have any followers. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try this out. I'm losing money, trying to do it on my own. It was the best decision I ever made, really.
And you're speaking for like everyone who's ever started trading, saying that like start out losing money and like, how can I learn? Like, what can I do differently? And so what's cool and why I wanted to bring that up is when you first joined, like you could just tell, and we still to this day have this testimonial you wrote in the Discord. It's right here on the screen. You can see it. Absolutely crazy to me that you've came from just like, building a small $1,000, $2,000 account while working your full-time construction job to what you are now. And I still remember the days when you first started getting on voice, you started really getting your group trading. You'd come in after, either work a night shift or being there in the morning, and you could hear the construction noise in the background, but like you still like being on your phone, looking at charts, trading or whatever you were doing on there, being involved with trading in the Discord, but also like working your construction, being a manager.
Yeah. I mean, luckily I was a boss. Honestly, I think my workers, and they was glad I was trading because I wasn't like overwatching them so much. But I mean, it was tough learning. I was working like 50 to 60 hour weeks when I was learning how to trade, and it was night shift towards the end. So when I was learning, I didn't watch TV. I didn't go out and party. I focused all my effort on, learning, or my dad, of course. So I was either taking care of kids or learning how to trade, and building my other income sources. I mean, I grinded like that for years. Probably the last years when I really, really got serious right before I, escaped that 9 to 5. But it was all worth it for sure.
And I totally feel you on that. Personally, my gig wasn't construction. It was delivering sandwiches at Jimmy John's. It was serving tables at Texas Roadhouse. It was washing dishes at the country club. But something that people ask me a lot, and I want to get your opinion on, is how did you go from doing a job such as construction, 50, 60 hours a week, just grinding day in and day out. How did you go from that to being a full-time trader? And how was that transition for you? Like, when did you know that you were ready to go completely from construction to trading? Or what could you tell someone that's maybe in the same shoes as you were, looking to do the same thing as you did?
It all started, it's just not like it happened overnight. It started from when I was young, probably like my early 20s. I had a guy, he's a rich guy. He's still alive. I still know him well. He owns some car washes. Like, he's an entrepreneur. He's like rental houses, a little bit of everything, but he's a business major. His son actually played at UT. But he told me one day, he's like, first off, he's like, save $100 a week, just like you don't have it. He said, that's the first step. Just put it away like you do not have it. The second, he said, you need to create other income sources. He said, this is where you need to start. I forget what else he told me, but basically, you need to escape a certain mindset. And for those that come from the country, you can relate to this. We were brought up to like, okay, you're supposed to get married, raise your kids, have that 9 to 5, live the American dream, like this religion's how it is. This is how it is, don't think outside the box. It took me years to escape that mindset that was instilled in me from a child. And once I escaped that, that's when I see my growth. I had a lot of doubters, like people tell me I was crazy, obsessed. Now they're like, how do I start?
How do I learn?
You're lucky. I'm like, lucky? I mean, 60, 70, 80-hour weeks is lucky, I guess.
And what you just said, escape that mindset. That's what so many people don't do. And they don't even realize that's the problem. Like for me, for example, growing up, around a bunch of people that had money in East Lincoln, me not being from a single mom, I had to escape the victim mindset too. I was like, I can sit here and feel sorry for myself. I can sit here and say, it's the world's fault that I don't have money. It's, the sun's fault. It's the moon and retrograde's fault. It's everything's fault but my own. Or you can escape that victim mindset. You can escape the this is how life has to be mindset. You can recreate your whole brain, how you see the world, heck, how you see your trading. And I think if more people would do that and adapt to that, which hopefully they will after listening to this, a whole lot of positive change comes. And you notice that a lot, in your fitness, in your bank account, in your trading, in your overall happiness. Everything kind of morphs and snowballs once you can get out of that, scarcity mindset, of that loser mindset, and really elevate all those things.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's near impossible to find success if you have a closed mindset. You have to have a growth mindset to, achieve anything. You're just going to be limited by others' opinions if you don't. It's what you was taught.
And something too that, really impacted me is I used to steer away so much from discomfort. It's very natural for us to get comfortable and do what's easy and do what doesn't have pain. But, I want to hear your opinion on this. For me, like reading that book, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, his second book, Never Finished by David Goggins, like that mindset alone of approaching pain, going for discomfort, doing the hard thing. And even in trading, like people ask me, what's one of the best trading books you can read? And I will tell them that and they'll say Jdun. Like, that's not a trading book. Like that's about a guy that became a Navy SEAL and overcame all this stuff. And I'm like, well, what are you doing with your trading? You basically need to become a special ops in your trading. You need to become the top 1% in your trading because the statistics are so low and it's so dang hard. So you have to go and you have to approach these hard problems. You got to look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm very impatient. I'm very egotistic with my trading. I don't, I have a lack of discipline and really, punch those things right in the face, which is the same thing that Can't Hurt Me talks about and these discipline books talk about, that you can relate to your trading and build those habits outside of it so it, builds within it. And so for me, and like hearing you say it, it relates a lot. And I'm curious, what you think about that. And
yeah, it's all about, for me personally, I have to keep a routine. I have to stay disciplined. If I throw my routine off, I just feel disoriented. Being here in Colorado, this time zone, it's thrown me off, and I just feel, I don't know, just not me. I keep the same routine. I work out before I trade, gets my mind straight. I guess you could say you could set a clock by my routine. Just like every day I wake up, 5 a.m., go to the gym, come back, get on Instagram Live. Then you join me there. Then we go to Team Bull, trade live there. Then I work on content, then possibly hit another workout or, be a dad, whatever I got to do that day. And just, it's very important.
And finding strength in the routine, like you said, is, something you see in the most successful people in the world. And just you saying that and shadowing that, it really shows. So something else that I wanted to bring up too and talk about was I want to touch one more time on that construction gig that went from that to full-time trading. Do you remember the day when you officially quit your construction job and were like, I'm going to trade full-time?
Yes, I do remember. I wanted to do it, kind of early. I knew it wasn't time for me to quit it yet. I knew I was still I was making money for a while. Let me back up. In my early 20s, I started investing, right? So by the time I stopped, my 9 to 5 and become a full-time trader, I had a nice investment account built up. I always saved like I was supposed to. I guess that's what kind of set me apart from a lot of people. And I was good at budget. I lived like a frugal lifestyle, very frugal. I wasn't blowing money. So I had money built up well over a year's worth of, bills or whatever. I had more than one income too when I started day trading. I actually had 3 at the time, I believe, total. Day trading was definitely my biggest, and I just know when you're ready. I was tired of this. I was making money, but I knew I guess I'm going to back up one more time and say I've always been a firm believer in my life. Any job we do, we should do it to the best of our ability. If you're, whatever stage you're at in life, do that job the best you can, because you're not going to have any opportunities if you're just half doing anything. You could be working at McDonald's and someone see, you're doing an amazing job, but I like this. Maybe I need to present him with this opportunity or her with this opportunity. You never know. There's no one definitely going to offer you anything if they say, okay, lazy, shows up half the time. So anything you do, do it right. and just, whatever stage you're in life, it's just where you're supposed to be until you, find that next opportunity. But you're not going to find it if you're slacking.
Exactly. And I love how you said that, you weren't just saying, oh, I was tired of doing construction. I made some money day trading. I was just going full blown day trading, right? You mentioned that you had a big investment account. You had multiple streams of income. And that's something that I really, really try to encourage people. Like if you really want to full-time trade, now there's a few definitions of full-time trader. I believe that you can still like have other businesses and hustles and be a full-time trader. It doesn't mean that that's the only thing you do and you really shouldn't do. So I see so many people that come in and they, want to be a full-time trader and they quit everything they do, but then you're relying on your trading to eat, to sleep, to feed your dog, like to do all these things. And that's a lot of stress. And trading is already super stressful. Let's get that out of the water. It's already super stressful. So when you're relying on that to live your life, it's hard. But like for you, you knew that, okay, I can day trade. I have these other income streams. I have a big, backup account that if this for whatever reason fails, I'm still going to be able to eat and live. And by doing that, what you do is you allow yourself to detach from the money. And that's the biggest thing as traders, that the reason why, your armpits are sweating, your hands are sweating, and you're freaking out every trade is because that risk tolerance is too much. So there's a lot of different things that can go into trading psychology, but what you said is what I think a lot of people need to do. And it's that you make sure you have your cushion when you go into trading so you can build your principal up, you can build your psychology up, you can really detach from the money and focus on your craft.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
So I guess looking forward to, I want to touch on, how you've transitioned now from being a beginning trader. Obviously we went over your past and stuff, to what are some things that have helped you develop the skill set you've needed, the discipline to not only make money in the market, but keep it and come in and consistently just, how else do I put this in a professional way? Just hit bangers in Team Bull. Like you come in and you just, you have such a crazy win rate. I think someone was tracking it and you had obviously this is really high, but you were having an 85% win rate for the last few months, that's incredible. Like how do you keep that consistency?
At the beginning of this year, which at the end of last year, I had a really good year. The end of last year as well, but the beginning of this year, I told myself, I said, I'm done doubting myself. I put in the time learning. I can do this. I've done it. I make people listen to me trade. They make money with me, so I'm capable. And my biggest flaw was just simply not holding my trades long enough. So I said, okay, I'm going to trust myself. I'm going to block out any noise, and I'm going to follow through with it. That's just what I've been doing. I had to reevaluate once this year because the market had changed a little. You see a lot of traders struggling, right?
And I was going to bring up too, we've spoken on the phone obviously a lot this year, but there's been a few times when you've told me you were like, man, I spent the whole weekend back testing, going over. I noticed the market was shifting. So typically when the market shifts, I can count on hearing from you saying you know what? I went back, I back tested, I made some adjustments to my trading, became adaptable. And every time after you've done that, it's just been spectacular seeing the results.
A lot of people are just lazy when it comes to day trading. And you can't be. You got to treat it like it's like work, right? So if you don't have a game plan, you just come in, you wake up 1 minute before market opens. You don't have your game plan ready. You're rushing to get into stuff. You gotta have a plan ready. You got to understand, where supply and demand is, where support and resistance, where what areas are you watching, where pre-market lows, high. You need to know all this, but you don't want to overcomplicate it. You just simply want to have it on your chart. With a little experience, it's pretty easy to spot. It don't take much effort. You can chart it out 30 minutes or so. It just all comes down to just not being lazy, having a plan and following through with the plan, and not, boredom trading or entering, just for no reason. That sounds simple or ridiculous, but a lot of people just trade for no reason. They're like, okay, I'm just getting in here. I'm like, I guess I tell them if you want to throw your money away, just donate it or something.
You just give it to Grizzly. He'll buy some sushi.
Yes, just don't give it to one of the fake accounts. Yeah.
So, adding on to that, you trade pretty simple. You look at your screen, it's very, very simple. Can you go over for everyone listening if they're thinking, how do I trade like Grizzly? what are some key edges to your trading? Do you use any indicators, any volume profiles, time frames? Like how do I trade like Grizzly?
To start out, I get my levels off the daily and hourly. I actually chart my levels on the hourly time frame. That's where I like to put my, draw the lines. Then after market opens, I use the 5 minute to, take the trades off of. But as far as like what I'm looking for, I use volume, price action, which is basically the candles. And my key levels, I always know where supply and demand is. And I always know, I trade SPY. That's all I trade. And I trade futures, of course. But as far as options trading go, I trade SPY. And I'm always watching SPX to, I'm always watching SPX to see where the key support and resistance levels are there. It just works out, man. It's simple.
And so for more beginner people listening here, you're using SPX to plot bigger levels to enter SPY trades off of.
Correct. I am looking for, so kind of helps me navigate SPY. So you don't want to be taking you don't want to take calls on SPY right below a big resistance on SPX. You're going to hit that resistance, you're going to get stopped out, right? Same thing. You don't want to take puts right at a big support on SPX. Trading SPY, because you're just going to bounce. It's going to hit your stop loss before you continue on down.
And I think that's a big problem with a lot of traders. They're shorting at support and they're ripping calls at resistance. And that's just something that, simply put, you don't want to do. And so therefore, by you knowing where those big levels are and, a big driving factor like SPX, it saves you a lot of money and makes you a lot of money trading SPY contracts, which are much cheaper and much safer, I should say, to play than something like SPX.
Yes. And I want to point out another thing. Like people, I know the beginners or even more advanced traders are probably watching. Like, how do you know where, when to not take a bounce or when to not take a reject? And I don't know about you, but I watch volume mostly to confirm that. And you can tell it with price action, just kind of see like simple reversal candles, big wicks, up or down, depending on what you're looking for. I just keep it simple, and it works. I've went through honestly, I took the time to learn most of the most complicated trading strategies out there. And at the end of the day, they simply just didn't work for me. I don't know if they work for anyone, to be honest.
Unfortunately, all the gurus out there saying pay $1,000 and I'll give you my secret strategy that's going to make you millions typically doesn't make you millions.
Very true.
And so touching back on something that you said too, you only trade SPY and you've gotten very, very good at it using SPX. But there was a time that I remember in the Discord and on Instagram where we used to call you Grizzmart. You used to trade stocks like Walmart. You've traded stocks like Meta, Tesla. Like, what made you decide that you wanted to go from trading these individual names to strictly sticking to one stock like SPY? Or, for someone listening to this, like, what's the benefits of sticking to one stock like you have with SPY versus trading all these different names like you used to? How's that helped you?
Well, one thing is liquidity. Plenty of liquidity on SPY. You're never going to have issues. You shouldn't have issues in getting fills and stuff. Spreads are good on the options. You're getting filled. You're not opening too far in the red. And honestly, Walmart's fine. I still would trade Walmart. Like it honors. It follows technicals, okay? But Tesla and stuff, if Tesla gets away from you and you're trying to trade live with thousands of people, it's gonna smoke them. You don't want that. So it's hard to, I guess it all come from me trying to find crowd-friendly stocks like Walmart. It moves slow, good for beginners. Plus, it had enough liquidity. I could trade it, make my daily go. I guess what finally made me transition completely would have been when I went through all my trading logs last year, just looking at my P&L and honestly just thinking about my stress levels. Like, it's so much less stress just trading SPY and what I know. Just base it. It's not 100% win rate, but it's high enough, and I'm not, stroking out trying to trade it all the time. And you can manage unless we just have some crazy news or data drop, you can manage your risk well. It's not going to get away from you too quickly.
I totally feel you on stress levels. That's why I recently stopped trading Tesla. I felt like I wasn't going to have any hair to do these podcasts anymore, or any hair in general. If I kept trading it, it was so stressful. And that's a big thing about trading is keeping your stress down and keeping your emotions calm, right? So something else I wanted to touch on as far as trading too is you usually trade only SPY, but there's been a few times in the last, I'd say like few months, not many times, where you've played a stock and play called a SIP, where maybe a stock gaps up or has news. Is that something that you're still willing to trade? Like, let's say, Meta has huge news and they gap up 10, 20 points. Are you willing to find a move on that if it's, kind of separated itself from the crowd? Or are you still like, no, I'm only trading SPY?
There's nothing wrong with trading, stocks that have relative strength, relative weakness, or, whatever you're looking for, gap fill trades. It's just not my thing anymore at this point in my, trading. I keep it simple. I don't like to trade all day anymore. I like to just get in. I'm usually done trading, like hour and a half, 2 hours in, I'm done.
Max.
Yeah, I'm done. I just want to go enjoy my freedom that comes with day trading. That's the main reason. I mean, I've always loved the stock market and just been intrigued, but at the end of the day, freedom, enjoying our time. We have a short lifespan, we need to enjoy it some. I've been working the last 16 years, like pretty much nonstop. Now I'm just trying to spend more time with family. I enjoy Team Bull. It's like family to me. I like to interact with them, just have a good time,
There is always something interesting, you could say, going on in the chat.
Yeah, especially after about 6 p.m.
Team Bull after hours. You got to get parental consent to go in there.
For real.
So, on more of a trading topic, we go over Team Bull after hours later. Gets a little spicy, but I want to moonwalk our way back to something I wanted to touch on earlier. In your testimonial that you put in Team Bull like years ago, you were mentioning how you built like $1,000 account to $2,000, and even more so than that. Do you remember building your first ever small account day trading? Like, do you remember your account size? And if you do, like, what were some steps you took to build that? And like, how did it feel building up, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000? Because you've had such success helping people in Team Bull build small accounts, and it had to have started somewhere.
It's just very rewarding in itself, just building your small account to whatever. First off, I want to point out I did blow right at 3 accounts when I started. I think I brought the third one back to life. I added some money to it. And honestly, I built the account that I traded with last year, my big account, which I no longer use. I switched to a different account, but I built it trading mainly off Tesla, honestly, before the stock split. Probably my biggest, maybe that was year before last. I can't remember. Kind of all blurs together after you traded so much. People ask me about my trades. I'm like, that was yesterday. I can't remember that. It's all about risk management, I guess, is where we can start. And when you're building a small account, people can try to tell you exact numbers, this and that. It's not always that simple, because small accounts, it's hard to manage a small amount of money, for me at least.
It's very hard. It's one of the hardest things to do in day trading, if not the hardest.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of skill, yes, but I think there's a little bit of luck involved with it as well. You got to be very picky with your trades. You have to cut your risk. You just can't. You have to cut your trades. You just can't let it blow your accounts for one. That's what a lot of people do. Is like, okay, this is a little amount of money. If it goes to zero, it goes to zero. You just can't do that. Cut it just like you would if you was trading with a $100,000 account. People ask me like, what's the position size should I use? And if I had to put a number on it, I would say like 20% ish.
Yeah, 20's fair. 20's good.
I think that would be. Not saying you should risk all that. I guess the textbook would say, well, like, never risk more than 2 to 3% of your account. Not sure I agree with that 100%, but, that's a good place to start. And another question, a very common question I get is, when you're trading with a small account, how do you trim? Like, because you can't have many contracts, right? So there's 2 ways to handle that. You can either hold into your second price target, but if you're going to do that, you better be ready to stop out of what you paid to enter the trade. If it drops back down before it hits your second price target, you better stop out at your entry price so you don't not losing money. Or, you can just sell your entire position at your first price target, but you're going to have a higher win rate like that. So,
and the biggest problem I see with small accounts is someone enters a trade and it goes up to price target 1. You're in 1 or 2 contracts. You got to learn to hold. You got to get real good entries. Goes up to target 1. They don't sell any. Gets maybe a little bit more towards target 2, but then it goes back down to break even. and they don't sell. They hold, and they're like, okay, I'll just hold this and wait till it goes back to, again, to price target 1 so I can trim some. Then it goes a little lower, a little lower, a little lower. And at that point, okay, let's say you didn't sell it at break even. All right, we'll forgive you there. But you got to have a point where you're going to cut that off small, because you can't afford as a small account or even a big account. If anyone in general, you cannot afford, if you want to make it as a trader, to just let your trade run negative 60, 70, 80, 90, 100%. And that's what so many people do. And they get in this cycle. I, for one, have been there too. I'm speaking to past me of, you take that big loss, and then for your next wins, you go in fearful. So you take green really quick. Take green really quick. You see green, take green, the phrase that we hate in Team Bull. But then you finally have the loss where you don't want to cut it. And with a small account, that just kills you.
Yeah, it does. And I want to touch on that just a little bit as well. You're talking about the difference between scalping and day trading, right? So scalping is your fastest type of trade, like seconds to minutes? Day trading is minutes to hours. So a scalp is a less percentage gain than day trading as far as like textbook goes. So some ideal situations where you would scalp for me would be when you're taking a bounce against trend. As far as like cutting, you said not like letting stuff run. That's about the only scenarios where I wouldn't let something run. But any other time than that, you definitely should be holding to your price targets to allow for the proper risk to reward.
And that's something that particularly I've seen you get so good at that this year, of not just scalping, but like really holding to your price targets, like really holding. And like, that's just that's a step that so many need to take, but don't.
Yeah. Honestly, I've took the P&L off my screen this year. That's really helped me not get anxious, because if you're trading same day expiration and you're watching your P&L or watching the premiums, and you're going to freak out because them premiums go crazy, right? You cannot base your trade off of the premiums on same day expiration. You got to watch your chart. And I feel like, I would say that's probably 90% what causes the stress of day traders is watching the premium. If you watch the chart and you have your plan together, if it hits your stop loss, you just simply sell, or have it set.
And on the topic of premiums, you've recently this year went into futures trading. You've gotten funded. You have I think 10 accounts, right? 10 linked accounts or something like that?
I don't have that many. I did lose some because of my own error, but yeah, I did get into it.
Yeah, you have some linked accounts. How's that been for you, futures trading? You've gotten a few payouts already, doing that on the side. How's that futures trading been, and do you prefer that, options? What's your thoughts on that for anyone new?
I guess the best way to go about, of course I can fund my own accounts, but why I like the funded accounts because I was new to futures trading, right? So I'm like, okay, why don't I learn with someone else? So why don't I learn, using their capital? I'm not responsible for it, and it's like trading. You make money, but you're not going to blow your account. If the most you're going to lose is like 100, 200, whatever you paid for the funded account. It's perfect for learning, and yes, you can make good money off of them, especially when you have multiple linked. I trade futures off both accounts anymore. Just most of the time I use the funded pre-market, and I just trade off my own account after that. Once the market opens, I don't like switching back and forth, so I just have my options trading account open. If I see a futures trade I want to do, I just trade off that.
And for anyone looking to get funded, what platform do you use, and do you have a code that could get them a cheaper rate or something like that?
Yeah, I use Apex. It's it's in my link if they want to check it out. All the information's there. I've had good and bad. I've seen people give bad reviews, and I've seen people give good reviews. Just got to follow their rules, and they're seem to be cool.
Okay, so anyone looking to get funded can go to your link, for example, click that and start their journey on a funded account.
Even if they don't plan on using funded accounts long, I definitely recommend they try to learn on them. It's better than blowing your a $10,000 account.
Yeah, that's awesome. And this is kind of in right field, and we're running out of time. We have a few more minutes to talk. You, before Team Bull, you joined when it was Mile High Trading. You had no social media.
None.
Like nothing.
I went from MySpace to what you see now.
Your last socials was MySpace. So
yes.
Back you were with the homie Tom on MySpace, and then you went into this whole world of social media. How was that transition to just having nothing to now having a crowd of 3,000 plus people every morning in our Instagram lives and helping so many in Team Bull and so many here on YouTube and, just helping people in such a social way?
Well, I found out in the beginning you have to block out the drama, negativity. So I don't even play. If someone says something I don't like, I just get, they're gone. That helped. That was the rough part. You get a lot of hate and stuff through social media. I guess that's just part of it. But now it's just, honestly, I don't get much hate anymore. It's just, people I recognize every day on there. Like you talk about our lives, like I can recognize probably half the people in there just because I talk to them every day. Just we make money together. We just have a good time. We talk. It's a family environment in there as well, just like Team Bull. I know I didn't start Team Bull from the beginning, but we've worked really hard together to build that family environment that you see now. No negativity, no drama. We try to, I feel like that's key.
If someone comes in with drama or some negativity, they get the boot.
They're gone.
You take your boots you got on and poof, you're gone. And that's really key to, having a successful network and especially making money trading. Like you cannot have people that are negative and, affecting your mindset around you. You are who you hang around. Your network is your net worth, right?
Yes.
So that's the cool thing about Team Bull too, is you're hanging around a lot of people that, have a lot of net worth and have the same mindset as you. And I think that's why we've gotten along so well, minus us having the same birthdays and much more things in common, but we're both on that same mission to help others and, spread this message of positivity and good education.
And what I've noticed in Team Bull a lot is a lot of the members are they're the big guys, big girls, they're making more than I am every single day, I got a guy that every day he DMs me after we get done trading. He trades with me live every day in Team Bull. He makes more money than I do every single day. I never can make more than he does. I don't know what I think he knows what I make somehow, and he's has to beat it.
And isn't that such a good feeling knowing that you're impacting that and helping? Yeah,
I love it, man. I hope they all make more than I do.
It's crazy. Me too, dude. So concluding this up, I want to know one thing. What is one piece of advice, if you could go back and tell beginning trader Grizzly, you would give yourself that would save you a lot of money, a lot of time that you just wish you could go back and know? Maybe it's a few pieces of advice. One.
I guess some words to live by would be a good way to put it. First off, learn before you trade. It's going to save you 3 accounts, I promise you. And never feel like you're just limited to day trading alone. There's plenty of other ways to make money in the stock market. Selling options is one of my biggest incomes. I don't never talk about it, but I make really good money selling options every single week. It's always, respect others. That's one big thing. We're all just humans trying to get through this world, Don't matter how much money you got, always give back. It's very important. That works hand in hand with success. If you're not giving back, you're going to fail. It's just how it is. And just love the best way you can, the best you know how. That's all I got.
That's all you need, man. Yep. It's beautiful. From family to, your own personal family to our Team Bull family to everything in between. You've been a super awesome person to be around and learn from and learn with. And I'm sure everyone watching this can attest to that. Love having you in Team Bull and learning from you daily and catching bangers on SPY with you.
They love the accent.
I love when I come in and say SPY and I'm going to churn some butter.
We're going to have to get some SPY merch out. I've been getting all kinds of DMs for it.
Yeah. Big Team Bull logo, like you see here with just SPAH. SPY.
Yes.
Oh, man. So that is going to wrap us up, I believe, with this episode of our Team Bull podcast. Make sure if you haven't already, you hit that subscribe button below, tap in. And as a reminder, Grizzly is live on Instagram every single morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. I typically join him at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. The link for that is below. His name is Trades_Grizzly. My name, Jdun_Trades. We have so much value, so much to learn for free. And this podcast is only getting started. So appreciate you guys being here. Make sure to keep learning, keep focusing, and let's learn and get rich together, Team Bull style. Have a good day.